we're here. A lot of you guys have been wondering where I've been. I haven't been posting in about 2 weeks, and I've been pretty non-existent, especially on my Instagram as well. I've been on Twitter on and off, just occasionally, but pretty much I've been off the social media wagon for about 2 weeks. And yeah, I just wanted to come in here and explain why I've been gone and also talk about mental health, which obviously ties into it, but to be honest, I'm not really sure where this video is going. I'm just gonna have a complete and honest chat with you about why I've been gone and how mental health ties into it, and I'm gonna try to make it as uncut and unfiltered as possible. If I do cut here and there, is because I either mumbled something or I just gone off my train of thought and it doesn't make sense. So yeah, let's talk about this. So first of all, I am fine. Don't worry about me. It was actually not planned at all to go off the rails of the social media world. I went to Portugal for a week to visit my family. During that time, I didn't have enough time to film beforehand to have a lot of videos going there. So I did have one video that I was going to post while in Portugal, while I should have two, because I usually post twice a week. But even that video was a video with a brand that I ended up canceling. So I was like short of videos for a full week. When I came back, there I didn't want to film, first because I didn't have the equipment, and second because I didn't want to go through the trouble of everything because I wanted to spend time with my family. Every time I go to Portugal, I try to make the most of it to be with my family so that I, can, grow, like not grow, like I feel like when I'm home with my mom, it can be the worst of times, but if I'm home with my mom, I just recharge my energies, and it's not, I don't know, it's mama love. She's kind of like a mama bear, and she like recharges my energy and nourishes me and all of that jazz. But yeah, so when I came back, I came back with my sister, and we were going to a concert, to our last night concert from their selective hearing tour. So we did that, and that was on a Saturday. And because I'm a grandma, because of all of that, I was so tired. And then I had house guests. I didn't feel comfortable filming, and it all kind of just snowballed to me not having posted to 2 weeks. It wasn't planned or anything, it just kind of happened. And once you kind of lose the mojo of the scheduled filming where you're doing it repeatedly and it's kind of like a routine, once you break off that routine, it's just so hard to get back to it. And yeah, that's basically what happened. Even now, filming now, it's like a chore to kind of start it all again, but I know when I start it, it's just gonna be much easier. But anyway, how does mental health also tie into this? To be honest, this past week was hard. When I was back home with my mom, it was really peaceful. I was good beforehand. I went there and it was non-eventful really there. And when I came back, I did the concert, which I loved. And then my sister went, and I still had house guests for like 4 days. I love having people over because there's mostly Miguel's people, because honestly, I don't have any people. Most of the friends that I do have are in the UK. And so yeah, sometimes Miguel's friends do come and stay over for a few days, and I'm fine with that usually. But when I'm having like, I'm an introvert, so I need to feel like my home is my place of safety. Whereas if I'm having a really bad day, I can come home and just break down. And for me, that's not unhealthy. Like coming home and having a good cry is so therapeutic sometimes. And when you have guests over, it's just so nothing you can do. And yeah, I don't know why or what set it off, but I had a really like anxiety riddled week, and it was just me being just too much in my head and not being able to rest, and also being an introvert and not having a place for a full week, not having a place where I'm completely alone and that is my home and that I can, just switch off is very hard on me. And I don't know, it was just kind of like an accumulation of things. because even when I'm with people that I really like being with, especially my good friends and everything, even then I feel so tired by like socializing, and that's the whole introvert thing right there. And that obviously brings up my anxiety, brings up my exhaustion, and also dreads up a little bit of my depressive thoughts. So I wasn't in depression, but there's always like, I think there's two parts, not two parts, but there's two very different types of depression. There's many different types of depression. The things that I tell you about and things that the symptoms I talk to you about, they might resonate with you and they might not. It just really is down to every person's experience. So you might have depression and anxiety, and for you it might be completely different than what it is for me. But I think there's like two big types of anxiety and depression, and then there's like everything that's around it. So there's like chronic anxiety and depression, and then there's like circumstantial anxiety and depression, and sometimes it kind of blurs it. I think for me, I do have depressive and anxiety tendencies, so I'm bound to struggle with that a lot more than most people. But I'm not always and chronically in a depressive state, which some people are, and fortunately I'm not. But I'm also not like, it is circumstantial for me. Some things do trigger it, but at the same time, I don't know what triggers it, and it just happens out of the blue. And it's a history in my family. Like, I think every female in my family, up to my grandma, has been through depression at least once, and that is including my younger sister, my mother, my aunt, it's just there, and it's a pattern that we can all see. I don't know, it's just this. So basically, going back to it, this is when I think that maybe I'm not making sense. So basically this week was just very anxiety riddled. I had a really, really hard time falling asleep. I woke up a million times per night. Ended up not resting at all. So the whole week I was just like a mumbling piece of blob. A blob. I was just a blob the whole week. And I was just very unmotivated. I didn't want to do anything. Didn't even want to get dressed. It was just one of those weeks where I spent most of my week in bed. And I fortunately have a work where I can work from home. And I did some of the work at home. But even then, I was very, very unproductive. And I think my boss noticed it. It was a horrible week for me. And I don't know what triggered it. But it was I didn't want to do anything. I was home. I could have easily filmed. But I just had simply no will or motivation to even get out of my PJs. So that's where I'm at right now. I tried postponing this video a lot, and I just think, I'm a mess, I can do this video right now, because honestly, what am I even saying? I'm a mess throughout the video. I'm gonna be a mess throughout the video, but that's kind of when it hit me that like, okay, you're gonna be a mess throughout the video. This is what it is about. Like, yeah, I'm a mess right now. I think my acne medication might also be playing some part here, so I am trying to keep cautious about that as well. I am completely off all medication for anxiety or depression. I do have some SOS medication for anxiety, but I barely ever take it, just when I'm like really, really bad. And this happened this week when I couldn't sleep. I had to. But the thing is, like, so back from my first depression video, and this is maybe something I should have talked about. If you're new, I did my like story depression video a while back, and at that time I was really good. I was talking about like past experiences, and for me it just changed so much since then. I've educated myself so much on the matter at hand, and I don't know, at the time I thought my depression was completely circumstantial, and I was getting off of the meds, but at the time I was really okay. Eventually I did get off the meds that I was on. To be honest, I don't think, a lot of people question me, why are you going off the meds if the meds make you happier? It was because, and solely because, the kind of depressive break that I had was mostly circumstantial. I do have a depressive nature, but it was triggered by college and me not liking college and my whole hellish experience with college, and it just brought me way down. And then moving and not finding a job right away, and it just kind of went into a wall. And that's why I kind of started taking the medication. And then when everything in my life kind of stabilized and I was kind of liking my life, I started going off the meds, because if you're having like a depressive break and then you feel like you might get off it, and you feel like those circumstances are not playing a factor anymore into your life, you know, it's a good idea to know how you function without meds as well. I'm not saying to anyone get off your meds. I'm just saying, like, for me, I actually needed that because I don't think I needed to be on antidepressives all the time. Some people might, and I might in the future. I might have at the time, but anyway, I just went off them. And getting off antidepressives, whether you're in a good place or a bad place, is just a crap storm of feelings. So at the time, after that video, after like 2 or 3 weeks, I got off them. When I immediately got off them, I was completely fine. About like a few weeks in, a month in, I had another really depressive break, and that's when I started doing therapy. Again, I've had therapy in my life a lot, especially when I was younger. I was like a really troubled child, mostly due, everyone thinks, me included, to my dad's death. He died when I was 10 due to brain cancer. And so I didn't deal with it properly. I don't remember any of it. I barely remember my dad. And I just, every time I talk to people, like, most of the memories I have of my dad are like memories of things people tell me. So I don't have many concrete memories that are solely based on my experience from my dad. I do remember the day he died, and I just remember not crying at all. Like, it didn't hit me. I was just like, my mom, when I had a test that day, and my mom went with me to school, and she kind of was explaining to the tutor why I was not going to school and not doing the test. And I just remember like laughing and playing with my friends and feeling like it didn't really hit me. I was 10. I should have probably gotten more. I mean, it is quite normal, I guess, from things I read now, and then I do understand that sometimes I think me personally, I just try to push it all away, and for years, I didn't cry about it, and all my family tells me that when they try to talk to me about my dad or anything, I would just shut down and change the subject and not even address him, and that's mainly part of why I think I don't have many memories of him. I completely just shut it all down, and so like they're probably repressive memories that I stuffed in a part of my brain that I don't really remember. And so I went to therapy for that, and because in my teens I was a very aggressive teenager. I was very, you know, angst, the teenager angst. Mine was like times 10. I would break everything in my room if I had a fit of rage. I was very like, I wanted to not conform to anything. Obviously, I thought the world was against me. So it's a very like, so therapy is a very like common part of my life, but that I hadn't done in a really, really long time. And so everything kind of calmed down when I started doing therapy and talking about my feelings and kind of crying out about that to another person, which is kind of a stranger, which is kind of weird, but it is sort of therapeutic. And I don't know, it just helped at the time, and I've been good ever since from there. And then I started researching more about mental health and about like, am I always going to be like this? Am I always going to be like tiptoeing on depression and tiptoeing on anxiety? Every time something happens, I'm going to be scared basically that sends me off the rails. And yeah, so I started searching, I started informing myself about mental health a lot more. One of the things that I can definitely say helped was, this sounds ridiculous. So I started watching Prison Break, and I really like it. Prison Break's amazing. But yeah, I started going back on like researching the cast and everything, and Wentworth Miller. And he's such, I don't know if you know this, but he has dealt with depression and anxiety himself. And he's such an advocate for mental health. And he has this like, he closed it off, but he had this Facebook page at the time that where he talked about his issues with mental health and just opened up about his experience and about everything that he went through, and like he opened up for people to share their stories as well. And I learned so much from it, and from other pages definitely, but that was the thing that kind of set me off on there, that I used to feel like I was broken, and because of that, if anything bad happened, I would go into the depression mode. I would have to be like really slightly not living my life because I was scared if something bad happened, then that would throw me off. And that's where I kind of realized, like, he talked about not being a person that has dealt with mental health issues, but being a person that just deals with mental health issues and that still, like, affects his daily life, even though he's not currently in depression and is not currently in an anxiety status, that he does still struggle with it, and there are bad days and there are good days, and all of that thing that I kind of had to internalize, that this is who I am, and there's no point in me trying to say that was me in a bad place. No, that was me in a really bad place, but it was part of something that connects to something bigger, which is my life. I, as a person, am a person that I'm very sensitive to everything. I'm very, very sensitive to my issues and to other people's issues, and everything can really just rattle me emotionally. And that doesn't mean that I'm broken, and it doesn't mean that I'm unstable. It just means that I feel things differently than other people, and that's completely okay. And that's part of like the journey I'm still on. Obviously there are bad days and bad periods and good periods, and this week wasn't horrible, but it was not like a good week in terms of mental health. But it's just more of what kind of learning about myself. Like, the more I understand what makes me tick and what makes me worse and what makes me get really bad, and sometimes I don't understand, but if I do try to understand, then I can build a sort of self-care routine, which is something I also learned from Wentworth Miller, which is, I never heard of it. What is a self-care routine? So it's more like, it's different from person to person. You know what nourishes you and what makes you feel good and what makes you feel comfy and safe. You have your safe place and I have mine. Everyone has a different self-care routine, but it's more of like ways and routines that make you safe and make you comfy and make you take care of yourself. And sometimes I just have to, like this whole time that I have not posted, at first it was non-planned and non-scheduled, but then it was just like, I got into that week and I just told myself there's no use in posting something and forcing something, because the video will be forced and horrible, and I will stake my mental health on it, because it would definitely make me feel worse about myself, especially if the video turned out horrible. Then it would be like a whole snowball of emotions that would make me worse. So I do want to in the future make a video about my self-care routine. I don't think now is kind of like the time to do that. In the future, I don't know. It's just, I don't know if this video is making any sense. I just wanted to give you a brief update, which I think this wasn't. But yeah, this is where I am right now, and I'm hopeful and positive thinking that this next week is going to be a good one. And I don't know even what I want to say. It's not about like a bad state in your life. Sometimes it is, and sometimes it's about people that hum to a different tune. And I think it took me so long to realize this, but I am one of those people. I don't think I could ever be a person that works 9 to 5. And I'm not like taking a jab at people that do work 9 to 5 and make enormous effort. Like, I had a hell of a luck finding the type of job that I did that is kind of freelance, and it's kind of like I can work at home if I want to, or if I'm feeling really down, I can just work in my PJs, or yeah, I was super lucky to get that job. And so I'm lucky in a sense that I don't have to work 9 to 5, but I do know that if I did have to work on a desk job that was like strict hours and every single thing like that, it would completely break me. And it's not because I'm lazy, and it's not because, no, I am lazy, but that's not why. I can make an effort if I have to, but eventually, on long term, it's gonna chip at me and chip at me and chip at my like awareness and emotional strength, and it's gonna break me down because I'm not that kind of person. I can't be the type of person. I wish I could, but I can't be the type of person that does the same thing every single day, and that, I don't know, it just breaks me. Even my current job sometimes breaks me, and I have to take a step away and just be like, I need to take a breath. And sadly, that's not always compatible with society, because for society, we're all just cogs in the machine. We're all just people who are all the same, and we have all the same personalities and all the same feelings, so we all will have to work the same sort of jobs, and there's very few exceptions to the rule. And if you manage to find an exception, then that, which I have in a way, then that is just beautiful. And I think we're working towards a society that treats us like different. And this is the same thing with school, for example. You can't expect all different types of personalities in the world to like and excel at the same school system. And that's why I think college was so bad for me, is because I didn't think I ever fit in. I think, and for the longest time, I thought that I was broken, that I was horrible, that I was so lazy, that the work schedule and the college schedule, it just broke me. I felt like I was weak, and that's not the case at all. And if you feel like me, I just want you to know that's not the case at all. You're not weak, you're just different. You're unique, and your personality is just so different than most people. And it doesn't mean you're worse because of it. It doesn't mean you're not a hard worker. It just means you work at a different pace, you work at a different schedule. Especially me, I'm a night owl. I like working at night. I like doing different things every day and having like and that's why I have this YouTube channel, is because honestly, it's not because I make money off of it, or I think it's ever gonna be a career path for me, but just because I want a creative outlet to everything in my life. Because otherwise, I think I'd legit be going banging my head on the wall, because if I have to do everything like a routine every single day, it's just not good for my emotional health and for my mental health and everything like that. And I think I've gone off the rails and I don't know what I'm saying. If this resonated with you in any way, then I'm glad I did this video. If only one of you just found any comfort in my words, or just kind of understood what I'm saying, then it's a good thing I did this video. Still not sure about posting it. I am gonna post it. Not sure it's a smart decision. But I hope this brings and sheds some light into why I wasn't here, because some of you were asking. I will be trying to post regularly from now on. If I don't, I will let you know on my other social medias. And yeah, if I don't, it's just because it was impossible with my schedule, or I'm just taking a little break for my mental health and to get better, to do better videos for you. And feel free to share your own mental health stories and journeys and everything that you want to share with me in the comment section. And also, if you want to share your self-care routines, that's really amazing as well. To each their own, especially in self-care, but I do like to know what other people do as well, because sometimes I'd like to experiment and try it out, trial and error, and see if that works for me as well. So thank you so much. I love you. Bye.